Well, just how's the spring gone for you and your group thus far?
Well, obviously very thin. It's just completely opposite of what it was last spring. But the thing that I have noticed, the kids are really working. I mean, the work ethic has been as good or better than it has been, I think, in the past. I think it's a great challenge to them, and they're trying to take it. You know, obviously losing all the young men that we lost, and they got a big day coming up tomorrow with their pro day. But it's a challenge to the guys that we do have left. So I think right now they're trying to step up to that challenge. Sam McCaskill, he's trying to be a great leader for us, and he's doing a great job. Him and Elliot Hoyt, those are two guys that we're really depending on. Elliot's having a good spring. And then I think the guy that has been the most surprising to me has been David Moa. Man, he is really having a good spring. And then out at the stud, you got both Jabril and with Gabe back. That's really helped. So, those guys right there have some playing time behind them, and they all are working hard. And they're really, to be honest with you, they're making spring a lot of fun. I was a little bit nervous going out. I thought, wow, I'll never have a voice left after this spring. But those guys have really worked hard, and so it's been fun so far.
So what are you dealing with numbers wise, and how hard has that been? How many you got out there now?
Well, 13 counting the studs,
Okay.
as we're in with that, and that's counting all of the walk-ons, which thank the good Lord that we have them all with us, because we've gotten a lot out of Austin Silsby, we've gotten a lot out of Paul Siemens, the new guy in here, Louie, just came back off his mission a year ago, and he walked on. He's playing some nose guard for us, so those guys all are doing a good job. Without those guys, we would be in trouble this spring.
As you look to next season, last year you had a lot of different guys that rotated in and out. Does it change if you've got some people that are really a lot better than others, or do you still want to try to have?
We're still going to have to be able to rotate. As fast as offenses go, and these guys are going to get tired. Okay, can we break that out somebody? So I thought I was back home in the South. Hard. Lost my whole train of thought. But yeah, we're going to have to get some young guys ready to go and just keep working with them. But we have got to be able to get some reps out of those guys.
What have you seen out of Gabe Perez so far this season? Missed them all last year, but Harson was raving about him yesterday.
I think he's picked up where he let off a year before. Gabe's really a good football player, and he does a lot of things naturally. He runs well, and he's back into it, ready to go. Both shoulders are fixed, and he's ready to go. I think he's had a real good spring. We've been happy where he is right now.
How do you feel about that that position? You mentioned him and Jabril. They're both guys who have played a bit, but also still a little bit of an unknown there. How comfortable do you feel, especially with having those two there?
I think we'll be good there. I think they're both very coachable. They're both very athletic. Got great length. Both of them are 6'4", 6'5". I think they're going to really be good, and I think they complement each other. I mean, Gabe obviously has got a little more experience than Jabril does, but Jabril can come in and definitely with his speed and explosion off the ball can do some good stuff.
You look at Jabril, he certainly looks the part. Obviously, from a physical standpoint, had his first year where he came in and couldn't really do anything. Had some stuff on his own. How have you kind of seen him develop since you've been here, and is he ready to kind of take that next step this year?
Oh, I think so. I think he's growing as a young man, obviously, and as you've seen his body develop, and he's got the size. And we ask a lot out of that position. So he is just now really catching on to all the pass drops and what we expect of him. And then he's a great pass rusher. He does some really good things pass rushing. And so we got to get him in those situations too that help him one-on-one with, against an offensive tackle. But I think he's grown a lot. He's getting more comfortable with what we're asking him to do.
Why is you mentioned David Moe? Why has he been such a surprise for you this spring?
Well, I say a surprise. I thought he was going to be good, but I think what David does, how I harp on technique. He is. If I compared him, I'm comparing to Sam Mack 2 years ago playing 3 technique. I told you the only way he was able to do it was because he played with such great technique. Well, David's doing that. I think everything that we ask him to do, he tries to do it exactly that way. and he's just been a pleasant surprise. I mean, just really, just everything has been good. And I just got to keep him coming. You know, there's still obviously a number of things that he's got to be able to do better because he hadn't played near as much as the rest of the guys.
You've got guys like Frazier and Mullen that haven't played a whole lot. Do you notice, do they have more of a rapid ascension than maybe somebody like a McCaskill that might be a little more polished in the spring?
I think they are. I think you see them getting better. Where Sam was already, like you're saying, he was consistent. He was doing things right. But for those two guys to make the step that they're making, which we had to have them to, you know, you're getting more and more confidence with them on the field.
You talked about, you know, kind of maybe a bit of your stress level going into the spring, you know, but do you feel a little more confident in what this group can bring, seeing some guys step up, you know, getting these extra snaps here in the spring?
You know, I'm confident in those guys that we've talked about, those first four. Once you get past that, like we were talking about earlier, you're going to have some other guys ready to play. That's where we're going to be struggling at. We got to get more guys that we feel comfortable with on the field.
And the fact that you have so many guys coming in later, how does that change things this spring? Obviously, knowing that some of those guys are probably going to have to play, aren't they?
Yeah, some of them will have to play. It really doesn't change what we do this spring. The big deal is to make sure that these guys that we have on campus right now are ready to play next fall. And then we'll find out those 2 or 3 guys or whatever it is that get here next fall, or 4. We'll just see who can help us out. But where we're going to need more help is inside, obviously. What I'm looking for is a couple of guys that could help us inside. If we find some edge guys that are ready to play, which it's a lot easier to play on the edge than it is to go inside and play as a young guy, you know, that'll just be a plus for us.
I remember you saying last year you never had to experience having that many seniors come back. Now, have you ever had to experience this where you've had so few guys?
I don't
at this
think
point?
so. You know, this might be the fewest returning guys that we've had. I think, and what really made it, you know, we had 2 freshmen on scholarship, I guess, last year that was redshirted. So those guys now we're trying to get them in the mix. And the Sam Whitney and Matt Locker got to really bring those guys on fast and get them to be able to help us.
How have those guys come up? We've heard Coach Harsin talk about both of them.
They're coming on well. Sam Whitney's got, I think, a good knack for pass rush. Matt's learning to play inside. He was always a linebacker or an outside guy in high school, so it's been a big adjustment for him. But he's getting better, and it's my job to get him to where I feel comfortable with him being on the field next fall.
What kind of a player is Elliot Hoyt for you guys? He's maybe a guy that, you know, he's played a fair amount of snaps here, but maybe people still kind of are still learning a bit about.
It's funny you brought him up again because I thought he had a good practice today. I think he's developed more and more each year as a player, and he wants that role as a starter. You know, and so what I've been happy with, he hadn't just thought, well, I got it made now because there's really not anyone behind me pushing me. You know, he's still working to be the best he can, and that's what we need. We need him and Sam, which will be our 2 seniors next year, to just keep pushing theirself. You know, you can't feel like you've got it made. You got to feel like you got to get yourself better every day, even if there's not what you feel like pressure behind you.
So you have who's the other interior guy then right now that's working mostly with the ones?
It's David and Elliot.
Okay, David is working
Mullen
with the ones.
and Elliot
Okay.
are working with the ones, and then Sam, Mac is working at the end, and then at the stud, we're kind of rotating Jabril and
Gabe.
So who are the other 2? Who are the interior guys behind those 2?
well, we got Louis. I was telling you about.
Okay.
He's working at nose guard.
Okay.
And then Silsby's working at the 3 technique.
Okay.
And so is
your
Matt Locker.
Your number 2s are all walk-ons then
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Matt's coming along right behind Silsby at the 3 technique, and then we don't have another nose guard.
Okay.
We got Paul Siemens is working at nose guard.
Would you consider moving? Sam's played both kind of like Horn. Is that something that can?
You know, with what we do, those guys have to be able to play both. I mean, obviously, if something happened to Elliott and we weren't comfortable, then we could move Sam back inside and be good with our other Sam on the edge. Or, heck, if we had to, you know, Gabe or Jabril, either one could go play end also.
You know, I know you said it's kind of a tale of 2 extremes. Last year you never had more experience. This year you never kind of had maybe more inexperience. What does that do for you as a coach, I guess? I mean, is the approach any different at all with these guys?
You know what? I try not to. I think it gave me a lot more, if you want to say I had more energy, you know, I knowing that I had to get these guys ready to play, or I do have to get them ready to play. It's more about the little things. It's like the first spring we were here. And the good thing I think about this group of guys is they've been with me since I've been here. You know, the ones that are obviously returning. So they understand all the little things that I'm after. So that's made it a lot of fun.
They know not to make you mad.
Yes.